Evening, everybody. This is Anthony from Amped Airsoft. I got my battle buddy,
Matt.
And this is the 6-month late, long-awaited Tippmann Part 3 review. We're sorry. Here it is. Music.
Right behind you! Right behind you!
Alright guys, so here's the deal. We got this gun right here. This serial number 0000377 Tippmann Arms, Tippmann M4 a year ago. Over a year ago. When this came out, I know me personally, I was really looking forward to a mechanical rifle that obviously didn't need a battery at all and had recoil and was able to run off of some kind of HPA or external gas or internal gas. So this fit a lot of bills that I was excited for. I was originally looking forward to the Project X system from Polar Star, but it never released. So there's that. And so, but this did.
You were also at the time kind of considering Daytona stuff.
Yes, and I was also looking into Daytona guns because I wanted something like that as well.
So if you're watching this one, you've obviously probably already seen part 1 and 2, and especially in the first part, we really compared this heavily to Daytona
We
guns.
did. Oh yes, we totally did.
That was about the closest thing we could.
This is the closest product to that.
It. Yeah.
So, you know, a year later, we have had a lot of time behind the trigger of this. I've personally used it for about 50% of the time in that year. Matthew here has used it for the other 50% of that time. We've run it at Milsim West events. We've run it at
countless Lion Claws games.
Open plays, indoor CQB. We've run it AMS events. We've given it to people to run at events.
Yeah,
when
multiple people.
When their guns have broken, we've given it to it. This gun has been through the ringer.
It's been through hell.
So let's just start off with this. Our expectations. When this came out, I was really looking forward to something that was mechanical and something that would operate reliably and have a pretty decent expectation of performance. I was also looking for a company that would support its product because it's an American-made manufacturer. I was looking for the actual product itself to be, suitable in its condition and build. And I feel that for the money that this costs versus systems that are very similar to it, this is a great system. Despite some foibles with it that we've gone over in some other videos, but we'll hint on here. The first problem is, Matt, go ahead and start giving them a list of all of the things that have broken on this gun since we have gotten it.
So most of you...
We're going to do the spare parts jumble. Get ready.
I'm not picking that up later. So most of you realized from a lot of our gameplay videos, and I believe it was after part 1, we literally broke this thing in half, and it affectionately became known as the Zipman because we had to hold it together with 2 giant flex cuffs so it could function.
The Zipman.
That was one of the first things that kind of piqued our interest, was that we had broken a critical structure part of it on our stupidity, not necessarily because of craftsmanship or anything on the gun itself, and we were able to use simplistic tools to put it back together and keep it running. So, with that being said, sadly, most of this gun has been upgraded, replaced, fixed, duct taped, super glued, something to that effect at this point. So we'll start from the front, actually, because that probably has the least amount of messed up nonsense going on with it. So Obviously, this gun is a recoil system, so it's not something you're necessarily going to want to run as a quiet gun, put like a can or anything on it.
No. Not quiet. Don't even, I'm going to put a banana on it and make it quiet, Anthony. Be like, no, no. Don't do it.
I mean, if you want to for looks, go
do
for
it for looks, but just don't waste your time.
First thing we threw on it and it hasn't left is a KFH. We just wanted to make this thing loud as hell, and it fits the gun. I don't know how many times, especially at like CQB places where this thing is resiliently loud. I've come around a corner and didn't realize I was out of ammo and just dry fired, and I've gotten kids to call out.
I've done that at least twice.
So, it's like, that's cool.
That's fun.
Moving back, we threw the Red Wolf RWA Rainier style rail on it. This thing has been a brick. The only time we've had an issue with this was we let our buddy Rich from Team Fart borrow it, and he's even more brutal on guns than we are. He ended up, the only thing that happened was
he somehow
the recoil
had
knocked
lost the
screws rail
to the rail and like lost the vert grip somewhere.
Yeah,
and he found it, but
so we reattached it, and you just need some Loctite on that. Moving back internally.
Okay, so
let's just dive after the zip ties.
Okay, so we got
what caused the zip ties to break?
So originally, this was pretty quickly after Shelby last year when we went to Black Sheep. That was our inaugural run of it at a game, where I had done a hop-up mod to the upper receiver that we talked about in the first video. We constantly get questions about different types of mods for the Tippmann, and some of them require permanent changes to the way the system works, and we have chosen during our year-long review process to not do that. We don't want to do anything that the customer will have to permanently modify and change the function of their weapon.
Correct, because if another mod or something were to come out down the road and we wanted to test it, or we didn't want to shoebox ourselves and not be able to test something.
Yeah, we didn't want to go to a point of no return, and we also did not want customers who don't have super high levels of technical skill have to worry about doing super high level of technical skill work or sending their gun in. And we only focused on mods that would work, that they could do themselves.
Yep.
The first mod we did was we did a spring and rail cover mod for the hop-up.
Talk about that in the second one, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I talked about that a lot in the second one. That got the performance up to about a 230 range, super tight grouping. It was a pain in my ass to do, but worked really well. Currently, it's running one of the Shapeways flat nubs in it,
which technically, I think we covered this also in the last one, is Shapeways kind of came down on anything that had firearm or anything that spat a projectile out.
Yeah.
It came down on anything like that, and they don't allow that to be made because of the whole nonsense with 3D printed guns, because they won't blow up in your hand. So there are actually a couple other separate from Shapeways 3D printing groups that are making those nubs again, or a extremely similar style.
We'll probably have a link. I don't remember what they're called right now.
I believe we were actually looking at trying to buy some, and this is mid-January, so hopefully we'll have some.
Hopefully. Yeah. After that, we put a couple different type bores in it. We tried Promi barrels. We tried Orgas. We tried. Right now, it's got a Fox 602 in it.
The Sistema for the longest time.
We ran the Sistema 604 for the longest time. Works. We feel best with tight bores. Personally,
not too tight though.
Not too tight, but tight bore barrels, and we feel that it, in its stock configuration, that's easy to modify versions. Orga it's not really that great.
Now the other thing is, a lot of guys on the Tippmann owners group, which we'll mention multiple times in this video, a lot of them have ended up doing Orga builds with like 623s, and they're actually getting very good performance. They kind of carried on and did a lot more work and research into getting wide bores to work correctly. When we initially did all the stuff with wide bores, it was just not going well for us when we were initially, because a lot of the upgrade parts hadn't come out yet for the Tippmann, so we just decided to stick with the tight bore. So I'm not going to knock. Yeah, your mileage may vary.
Your mileage may vary.
I'm not going to knock the wide bore, but we have seen the best results with
we are on
602s to 604s.
Best results have been like 605s to 602.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. Brand, I obviously tell people to get the best brand that they can afford, because when you spend a little bit more money, you get a little better quality.
Yeah, cry once and just get something will last.
Like, I always recommend, like, for most people, Prometheus barrels. But if you can get something nicer,
like cash now, get the PDI.
Get that PDI master race. This has also had 2-hole complete upper receivers. This has had 2-hole trigger groups in it. One of them's right
sitting there.
There's one right here. This was the stock one that just doesn't shoot full auto. We've taken it all apart. We've adjusted everything on it. It just doesn't. Doesn't do that.
And I think considering how Franken-gun this thing is, we still have not gotten our auto to function correctly.
Nope.
That's tearing. We are the second trigger group we actually did get a decent auto fire out of it. I think we dropped it. Somebody broke it. So
then we did. We put some parts in it or something. And
we did more science to it.
We messed
stopped
it up.
working
We
once.
messed it up. But the first one never really worked.
Yeah. So if you're looking for any sort of tips or anything on the full auto, none of us really shoot full auto unless they're using a support weapon. So for this, we just
Milsim,
it's
bro.
not necessary.
Milsim.
Yeah.
And then finally, the last performance part we have in here is we have an advanced airsoft heavy bolt. We have the prototype heavy bolt in here. That's one of the production run ones right there.
Yeah, shout out to KP for getting one of those to us. That thing is a blast.
Super fun. I really highly recommend this for anybody that's seriously looking at this system.
That's actually, I would suggest one of the first upgrades you want to do to the Tippmann.
Because it makes its FPS and variances and stuff in that a lot tighter.
Well, what it does is it replaces this whole mechanism with a just solid steel chunk. And basically what this does, it gives you a much more solid and consistent recoil. So what it does is when it's cycling with the entire system, it gives your piston and everything hitting a more consistent air seal. So actually when we installed ours, we had to go and adjust the FPS down quite a bit.
It usually has about 100 FPS jump.
At least on ours, that's the prototype. I know the Gen 2s, I think he toned them down a bit. But it's nice because you know that just that simple part, you can upgrade the FPS if you want to maybe set it up for a DMR build.
So with the receivers breaking, the Tippmann. Here's the thing with the Tippmann. The Tippmann was a product of mistake. So what happened was we had an issue where I took this to a local CQB arena and I was running it. When we first got it, someone decided to put a ASAP on it, and I am not a fan of these. I'm not a fan of ASAPs personally. It takes real firearm parts, by the way.
Yeah,
it takes real,
especially buffer tubes,
and
stuff.
And handguard stuff. Everything's mil spec. Problem was that when it was put on, it wasn't put on completely correctly, and so what happened was while I was playing
it comes with one already.
Yeah. So when I was playing, stock twisted. All right, problem. So now the stock's sideways.
Problems with real style stocks.
Problem with a real style stock. I put it in a bench, and this goes to the problem. One of the problems with the Tippmann. Problem number one is that the quality of the metal that's used in the external set of the body is not very good. Here's the deal. With the Tippmann, you get a completely functioning gun with parts to run it with both HPA and CO2. You get a very robust operating mechanism that works incredibly well, even if your full auto is finicky. But it's built like a tank. This is kind of like an AK-47. Like, it just runs.
If you've seen us again in the Facebook group or on other videos, especially like our Ask Amps, this to us, like the AK in the real steel world, this M4 is like the AK in airsoft guns because.
But that leads.
I can't tell you how many times I've purposely bashed this thing.
Oh yeah, I've smashed it around and all kinds of things. But here's the problem: is that when you're paying $450 for a gun, and it has a lot of features and all that stuff, and it's very robust internally, they have to cut some corners in order to make it affordable. The thing is in order to cut costs to make a gun like this actually affordable, and since it's made in America, they have to pay for American labor, and American R&D, and American, product, customer service, everything. Which Tippmann has excellent customer service, by the way. So they have to cut some corners. First corner they cut is they give you a really just inner barrel. It's not good. It's not.
It's almost scary how
bad it is.
Flimsy it feels.
It's so
like
bad.
I feel like if you were to shake it too hard, it would bend.
If you're buying this, you should be under the assumption that you're going to replace that immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Just you're going into it knowing that. The other issue is that the actual main receiver, the rest of the parts are all really solid, made of steel and well built and all that stuff. A lot of them are like slightly modified versions of real firearms parts, so they're really strong. But the actual receiver itself is made out of a cast aluminum, which in theory like sounds strong, right? Aluminum's metal. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. So the Tippmann name, what that comes from is that when I tried to fix the stock when it was twisted sideways, I put it in a gun vise here at the shop. I went to wrench on this castle nut here, and I snapped the tabs in the receiver. And this has not only happened once with the stock receiver, but this has happened twice. That's a recurring theme. I also see this a bunch of times in the Tippmann owners group as well, where people are wrenching on their receivers while they're still connected together, and they're snapping the tabs on their receiver.
Take the upper off.
Take the upper off. It's the upper receiver, though it is made of aluminum and can withstand lots of nice, like, pounding and like dropping and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
At the end of the day, it's still not steel. It's not steel. If you're going to like put torsion on this and you're going to twist it in different directions to try to wrench on it, get delta rings off and castle nuts and stuff like that, you're going to break your receivers. Do not do that. Just get a gun vise, get an appropriate gun block, take the receivers apart if you're going to do lower work or upper work. Put the individual receivers in the block, in the vise, and then do your work. Because otherwise, the weakest point of this rifle, the weakest structural point on this rifle are the receiver tabs, especially in the rear. They are not strong. You will break them.
I haven't seen too much with the front ones, but I have actually seen a couple
dozens. I've seen so many of them on that Tippmann group, dude.
Yeah, I saw one guy who actually
snapped his receiver.
Snapped the entire rear of the receiver off. I believe that was a fall or an accident.
And then also like since it's all cast, they decided to cast the trigger guard into. This is all solid with the receiver. This isn't removable like a real AR-15. You can't put Magpul ones on there unless you drill this all out.
Yeah, you have to drill it out and
if you have the proper tools, you can do all that stuff. So
I've seen a couple guys do it. If you won't put the time into the gun, it looks awesome.
Looks awesome if you want to do it.
Yeah.
But for your average user, it's not. It's not feasible.
Airsoft. It's almost purely aesthetic. So
it's purely aesthetic, but that's something to note about the Tippmann. Here's the thing, though. At the end of the day, it sounds like we're bashing on it.
Well, we did bash on it physically for a year.
Hey! Oh! Hey! Get him! Good job!
And that's the thing. It sounds like we're bashing on it. It is
still here.
It is a product that has its flaws. It has flaws, but at the end of the day, for an initial release into a market that they did not have any products in at all, for a completely American-built, I think the only thing that's not built in America or manufactured in America is the G&G green bucking that comes in the gun.
We don't even know that for certain, so.
I mean, it could be made here. I don't know. But it looks and feels just like the G&G green bucking, so I assume that it is a G&G green bucking. For something that where they have excellent customer service, where if you break your receiver, you have a 1-year warranty, they'll send you a new one.
Again, shout out to their customer service.
Their customer service is
Sean
excellent.
And everybody. Their
reps are good.
Yes,
it sounds like we're ripping on it, but here's the deal. This this gun at the end of the day is a monumental stepping stone in the right direction to get a recoil HPA gun
Without electronics.
Without electronics to the masses. The Daytona gun was first, and it was really groundbreaking. And it's in a continuation of older systems from like the 80s and stuff from the Japanese market. The Tippmann is the everyman's HPA recoil gun.
Yeah.
But it's also the everyman's CO2 gas blowback rifle.
Yeah, if you don't like running hoses, you got CO2 stuff. It's
also the everyday man's HPA gun because you get the entire system in one shot. This is a really big deal. It's a really big deal. They support people who come up with modifications to their system. They take care of end users who have problems with what's going on with their individual guns. They are really open to research and development. They have released a slew of products for fixing and upgrading and spare parts and stuff like that.
They have everything from the toolkits that has almost every nut and bolt, gasket
screw
on the thing, to if you want to, maybe you install a heavy bolt and you can't get your FPS down enough, they have low velocity and high velocity nozzles. I mean, they have extra barrels. There's three lengths, I believe. There's a 10, the carbine, and a 20.
There's a 10 carbine. I think there's a 16 and an 18 too.
Possibly, yes. They have plenty of
barrel lengths that you can build SPRs. You can build the standard gun comes with a carbine, which I don't think you'll need to replace, to be honest with you, unless you want something short
or longer
or super long. But like it shoots fine the way it is. It has, with the right mods and the right parts in it, it has a pretty solid performance. You've seen it in our videos. It shoots people just good, just fine. It does well.
It's just fun to shoot. Still, I think the thing
I've
he's trying to roundabout get to is that
there's a joy to this, despite its flaws.
Yeah,
there's a joy to shooting this that I have not found with other airsoft guns yet. Because so let's say you have a gas blowback like rifle, like an LM4. Sure, it functions pretty realistically. But the problem is that the recoil is it's whatever, and then its performance is whatever, and then you have to deal with the problems of green gas.
Especially we're Midwest.
Yeah,
we have winters that are kind of poopy.
It's like 6 months long. Yeah. Then let's look at like an AEG that has recoil, like the ERG, batteries. So you get in, there's that. Like there's just It's such a joy to shoot that even though it does have shortcomings, I can look past them. Take standard magazines.
Yeah.
Take standard AEG mags. Works. Hex mags. Work. EPMs. Work. Tippmann mag, wherever I threw it.
The one standing up. Right in front of you.
Oh, yeah. Works. Actually, these mags are excellent. Just by themselves anyways.
Yeah, and you actually just SHOT Show is currently going on right now, and Tippmann's booth, we saw some photos of it. They're coming out with 120 round mid caps
that aren't CO2. So, I don't think they're CO2 though, because there'd be no room for it.
It might have been actually. I'm not sure.
We'll see. It's a joy to shoot. I can't count this out.
Like you said, what he's trying to get around to is it's still one of, because we have like this entire fleet of guns that we all take to games to test parts, engines, everything out on, and this is still one that is almost fought over by employees to let them run it at a game. Like the most recent outing, I took it to Assault Under Bennett in Missouri. The best thing was not having, I never once worried about if my battery was going to die, if my wire harness was going to freeze up, if I fell in a creek or something and it got covered in mud or something. I wasn't worried about my weapon system at that game. And for their type of game, that is such a stress relief, because you're not, this thing will function at 3 a.m. when your campsite gets hit.
And it's 28 degrees.
Or, 5 p.m. when it's like 60 out and you're in the middle of a firefight. It did its job. And it's
going to work.
Yeah.
It's not going to shoot as well as your Polar Stars.
Yeah,
it's just not going to do it. But that's not what it's here for. It is here to give you a shooting experience. That's what I tell people. It's here to give you a shooting experience, and it's here to be the best bang for the buck. Because in the box, you get the ability to run this as 2 different types of guns. a CO2 gas blowback.
Yep.
Or as an HPA, high pressure air gun, and that is a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
It basically for $450 you get 2 guns.
Basically,
you get 2 guns. There are companies coming out with products for this every day. I'm looking forward to new inner barrel and hop setups. There's a few guys on the Tippmann owners group that we keep plugging that have come up with their own drop-in mods. We obviously have heavy bolts and things like that now to give it more realistic recoil. With the heavy bolt, you're looking at something that feels almost like
a lot of guys are saying it's close to a 223.
It's pretty close to a 223.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like spot on. It's a little softer still, but it's a lot closer. And with the noise and everything, like it feels good to shoot. It is a joy. The sound of the spring bouncing in the buffer tube feels like a real AR.
It's kind of funny because a lot of guys get annoyed by that.
They get annoyed by that, and they're like, "Oh, it's too loud." I'm like,
it sounds funny.
What?
It's actually
not a real gun.
If you have like a.
Oh, guys.
I know a lot of you run like compacts and stuff. I run active hearing, and it's kind of funny because
clack, 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 clack,
it
clack,
amplifies
clack,
the spring when you're shooting, but it dampens the gun shooting. So it's really funny sounding when you're running your pro.
This is a labor of love, though. This is a gun that if you
I can't tell you how many dudes have wanted this specific gun
because they know we've done all the work to make it shoot excellent. This gun, we have tried so many little different tips and tricks and products in it that it shoots real good. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so like I don't really think I can give this a score. I can't do it. I honestly can't, because the problem with giving this a score would mean that people are just going to jump to the conclusion that score means that it's good or bad. And the gun is not good or bad. This is the first thing that we've reviewed here where I can honestly say that even though it's flawed, I love it. Mm-hmm. I love it. It's a joy to shoot. It gets looks. It has a whole feel to it that's just fun. It's just like this is the first airsoft gun that I have enjoyed shooting. It's the first one. Because all the other ones are just like, or they're just like blip, 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 like with a polar star, and like they're just not fun. It's just, this is fun. We have a gas blowback where it's like crack, crack. Oh, that's kind of fun. Crack, 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 like instantly. Like no, that's not fun. This is fun. This is a joy to shoot. I mean, it has its drawbacks. It does, but it's a labor of love. So I can't really give this a score because at the end of the day, like I would not, even with its problems, I would not be ashamed to say I owned one of these. I would be excited to own one.
Definitely.
I might still in the future. It just depends on my money situation. But
yeah, because it's so much labor has been done by a lot of the initial buyers of the system that for newcomers it is so much easier to get this thing up and running.
You get to jump in with so much knowledge. Oh,
yeah,
man.
With some simple Google and searches in the Facebook group, you can easily, with a couple, some extra pocket change after you buy the system, you can do some small little mods and get it shooting just where you want it, really.
Yeah.
So, and again, with their customer service, it's
a good deal, bro. 1 year warranty, man.
With us not giving a rating, I would say what we can say is, especially me, a lot recently, I've been feeling like there hasn't been a lot of huge steps forward in innovation in this industry. And I'm not saying this was a huge step, but it was definitely,
in the right direction.
It was dipping your toes in the water of just something a little different that hopefully is going to be expanded upon this year and the following years. So, yeah, what do we do now?
I like it. I really like it. I love it. Probably
they're into like the 5,000-6,000s now, I think, on serial numbers. They've
been
pumping
something like
them out.
that. They've been pumping them out. I really like it. I love it. Would recommend you buy it. You have to be a tinkerer. You have to be mechanically smart, or at least you need to be able to. I'm playing with the safety selector. He doesn't like that.
It's triggering me right now. I just know how fragile this thing is. You're probably gonna break it.
I'm probably breaking it.
It's probably
jokes.
broken.
Jokes. It never worked anyways.
It's your fault.
It's always my fault. Everything, always. if you, I would just say that it's solid. I like it.
Think of it, if you don't already have one, think of
It's
it
labor of love.
if you do consider yourself a decent tech, or if you maybe want to start with things that are more mechanical. As myself, I hate dealing with electronic stuff. So this was also something I was a little more comfortable like tinkering with, like doing the hop up mods, opening it up, adjusting like the trigger group, putting fittings on and off of it, and like the heavy bolt upgrade. Like if you're kind of a little more on my level of technical knowledge of the thing, I think it's a good medium, especially if you don't feel like sitting there like tinkering with an FCU, getting like hexadecimal micro dots and all sorts of random
They're a little
numbers
easier now,
and crap.
but yeah,
but
I see what you're saying. Sitting there with your little screwdriver trying to get your DN setting right. DN, what's that? It's just called gas or no gas. Go or no go. This literally is go or no go. Like you sure you can adjust the velocity and the rate of fire, but really once you set it, you're never going to touch it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're never going to touch it, and it just goes.
It's a physical gun.
It's a physical gun.
It
gives you a physical.
It's the feedback that pushes it. Like a lot of guys say, like it's something that bites back a little bit. Like obviously you're not gonna have like muzzle rise and the thing's gonna go crazy if you shoot in a full auto, but you have to think a little bit with it when you run it. You do actually have to hold it somewhat properly too. You can't do your weird little holds and stuff on it that a lot of kids do, like trying to like peek corners and stuff. You sort of can, but you gotta actually.
You gotta get on it.
You gotta get on it,
like a real gun.
It just feels good to have something with that feedback, and to shoot other people with it, and they don't die.
Well, that's BB worse.
Worse.
But
yeah.
I like it. I'll probably buy one when I get some scratch.
Yeah, hopefully. I haven't seen it. Like I said earlier, this is the week of SHOT Show. We haven't seen any big announcements from them, so hopefully this year we hear something about whatever the next thing is.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But anyways, guys, so that has been the final year-long review of the Tippmann Arms M4 carbine by Tippmann. If you have any questions about how we've run it or different things, you can check our videos. You can watch some gameplay of us beating the ever-living tar out of this thing.
If you want to talk to us personally, we're in the
Facebook
group.
We're in the Tippmann Owners group if you guys want to talk to us. If you guys want to tag us into a question there.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, wholeheartedly recommend. Love it.
Yeah, love it.
If you want to pick it up here, would love you for it.
I'm going to steal that one.
This one's got a lot of love in it. This one runs real good.
I want to put that one in a museum. She run real nice.
She run real good.
She got a Hemi in her.
Oh, God, Hemi. Anyway, so this has been Anthony.
Matt.
Thanks for stopping by, guys. Check us out on all our social media jazz.
Praise Cat.
And Cat we trust. Deuces.
You know you did this whole video with grease on your face.
Oh, I got grease on my face?
Rising to the top. Duck fresh, clean living, you don't stop. Revolution means change, don't look at me strange. So I can't repeat what other rappers be saying. If you don't stand for something, you